Okay, so I'm here this morning with Roland Suttie from Straight Point Financial Advisory Services, and we're going to be talking a little bit about the financial services industry, and a couple of hints and tips of what is good to know. Okay, Roland, so how did you get into this industry?
Oh, Shirley, thanks so much for coming around. I mean, I think what we both do in our various careers, you're an action coach. I've always believed that people in business, high performers, kind of end up doing it on their own. And when you look at the best athletes around the world, they don't do it themselves. They've got an entire team around them: physio, a doctor, a nutritionist, a coach, sometimes coaches that are very specific in certain things. So what you do is incredible. It's, I think, a vital part of business. And I think Action Coach is a great brand. And obviously Anala is also a really great brand for Action Coach. And then you get these guys called financial advisors, which is where I sit. We do get lumbered into the same pots as second-hand car salesmen, attorneys, and the like, of which I think are also vital industries. So thank you very much for coming on and coming up with the idea. I've always wanted to do a podcast and have conversations with people about what we do, and the differences that we make in people's lives and why we're in this industry in the first place. What gets us out of bed in the morning, what sometimes keeps us in bed, have a great life ourselves, have a great life and a relationship with our clients. So it's a win-win scenario. Straight Point's underpin is happy, healthy, wealthy. I've always said that the wealthiest man on Wall Street, if he's unhappy, it's kind of like, what was the point? I also know that happy people also require wealth. They need money. We can't always be hippies living on a hill growing carrots. I can't grow a carrot to save my life, so I'd be in the bush being a hippie. But happy, healthy, wealthy is to ensure that we're happy. When you're happy, it's easier to become healthy because you've got a better outlook in life. And when you're healthy, it's far easier to grow wealth and get you to the levels of success that mean something to you, not necessarily success that you read in a book or success that someone else has kind of pushed upon you. It's really defining what success means to you. So that Straight Point's kind of underpin.
Okay, cool. So we, as you know, we're pretty hard at helping our clients to make money. And really the role I see that, what you do really comes in is what you do with the money that they actually make, So, this industry, it's the biggest. It actually beats the car industry, but they're coming a close second.
Well, you need the money to buy the car. So.
Exactly. I've been around since the 1600s when the first offices opened. And obviously, if it was such a mature industry, it would be doing some things right, learned a lot of things along the way, and no doubt got a bit stodgy in other areas and perhaps some areas not doing things as well as they might be doing it. So, what is your take on where the industry's at the moment?
Well, I was today years old when you told me that the industry started on the back of the London fires in the 1600s. I think in any industry that's this old, there's going to be some great things to it and there's going to be some bad elements. I think a lot of people focus on the bad elements, and the industry doesn't have a great name. And that's because the policyholder will hold the insurance company accountable because they didn't pay out the claim or they came up with a whole lot of other reasons. First that comes to mind is what went on in COVID lockdown, and where business continuity policies weren't paying out because it wasn't COVID that caused it, it was the lockdown that caused it. And it was a whole lot of kind of things written between the lines that insurance companies almost abused to not pay out claims. That was, in my mind, more of a communication thing than anything. And if everyone's claims had been honoured and paid, the industry would have collapsed. Every business needs to be profitable, which is what you guys speak to and preach about. And if the industry had just paid out everybody, it would have lost all its profits. It wouldn't have been around today. I mean, we're talking a massive international industry. So, insurance is there to protect assets. It's there to protect lifestyles. It's there to pay medical expenses when things go wrong. It performs an incredibly important function in society. I was speaking to someone from Momentum not so long ago, and they were talking about the amount of claims that they've paid in the last year, and it was over R1 billion, and we're just talking South Africa. When you look at that kind of impact into the fiscal system, it's a lot of money that's coming into the fiscal system that benefits everybody. It's not just SARS that benefits. It's doctors, it's nurses, it's hospitals, it's families, it's being able to keep someone alive that otherwise might have died, or their recovery was just so much better because they were able to get proper medical assistance.
And it protects the wealth that's being created.
Correct.
From things that could be or normally are out of your control.
Absolutely. So that's fundamentally what insurance is there for. It's to protect the wealth that you've built. If my house burnt down tomorrow, I promise you I wouldn't be able to rebuild it. I just don't have the capital to just say, well, I'll rebuild it. We're not all Warren Buffett or Bill Gates or who's the chap from Virgin? Mr. Richard Branson.
Yeah.
So we've got to think about insurance in terms of where it needs to be. It's there to protect our wealth. It's there to protect the capital. It's there to protect the assets that we've used post-tax money to go and build these things, and keep and maintain a lifestyle for our families, maintain a lifestyle and a place for our communities. Governments have insurance policies for things like the floods that we had in 2021, the damage from the riots. These governments have these insurance policies so they can go and fix infrastructure. Insurance starts from the very top and goes all the way down to the bottom to us as normal kind of people on the street that need to insure our car, insure our office assets, to insure our contents at home, our clothes, our surfboards, our golf clubs, the things that we love and we use every day to kind of break away from the mold of a 10-hour workday. It does have a bad name, so part of StratPoint's drive and purpose is to clean up the industry's name. And that comes down to good advice, choosing the right products for a particular financial need. So ensure that when claim stage happens, that claims happen quickly and efficiently, so that I'm not arguing with an insurer on behalf of my client. My client doesn't argue with me because the insurance product I might have chosen is not paying out, et cetera, et cetera. So it's very much a kind of, I'm going to say a tripartite alliance, because today's political landscape might not be the nicest thing to hear, but it's certainly a relationship between the insurer, the policyholder, and the financial advisor that needs to work well.
Okay, so I mean, if that credibility of the industry depends so much on the financial advisor and the advice being given, right? Because otherwise you create expectations that can't be delivered, and all the insurers are represented by the financial advisors.
Correct.
So what makes a great financial advisor? What's your definition of a great financial advisor?
Shirl's a very wise man that's had a massive influence on my life was a guy by the name of Brett Bartlett. And his definition to me was the definition of a good advisor is someone who makes you make a positive change today in your financial well-being. So whether that's increasing your RA by 500 Rand a month, taking out 500 Rand worth of more life insurance, taking out extra critical illness, that's a good financial advisor. I mean, financial advisors, salesmen in general, we influence people into making decisions. A good financial advisor influences a person to make good financial decisions. It's certainly not the guy that comes and tries to make an insurance policy cheaper, because there is no such thing as half-price life insurance. If it was that cheap, I would own it, and then there would be one provider that offers it, and all the other insurers would fall down by the wayside. It just doesn't happen. It's impossible.
Yeah, most certainly that fits in with our definition of a professional salesman, that your job is to help people to make the right buying decision.
Absolutely.
So if you're not, and you're only getting people to buy for the sake of buying, that is unethical. But if you're a professional salesperson, whatever industry you're in,
Absolutely.
your job is to help them to make the right buying decision for them.
Absolutely. I mean, you're the professional salesperson. Sales, I think it was Dale Carnegie or one of those guys, it says sales is the ultimate profession.
Yeah.
It's such a profession. It's such a specific skill set.
Yeah.
And I think it is something that people can learn and become better at. But there's an old thing about the guy can sell ice to an Eskimo. Sales is really a profession, and when done well, it changes people's lives.
Yeah, it was Zig Ziglar.
It was
the greatest profession in the world,
And it really is.
But the interesting thing about sales is that, most people are scared of sales, and the idea of the pushy salesperson, who's trying just to push a sale always comes to mind, seems to dominate.
Yeah.
But everyone's in sales. If you're in business, you're in sales. Everyone's in sales. If you've been married, somebody made a sale, right?
Sales is influence, and I think Zig Ziglar said that. Sales is influence, nothing more, nothing less. My 2-year-old daughter is in sales. She was in sales last night, throwing her toys out the cot to get to watch Peppa Pig. She didn't do it well, though. The industry is fraught with salesmen. I think back to another story when I first started in the industry, which was in 2009. I was 29 years old, and there was a guy, I think he'd worked for Liberty or Old Mutual or one of the big five. Extremely successful, made a ton of money, really well known. I think he had a really good character, and people trusted him. And on his, obviously on his business card was his name, and in brackets was PMSI, which most people would look and say it's BCom honors. And I think it's really, really important. Yeah. And only certain people had the gumption to ask him, what does it stand for? And it stood for Pass Matric Selling Insurance. Yeah. So in that, the salesman in people, the sales side of things of what we do as financial advisors, the barrier to entry is not that high. It becomes higher, and it has become higher because the industry, the FSCA is trying to ensure that people within 2 years have the RE5 regulations behind them and the exams passed. Within 6 years, you've got to have your NQF5 qualifications within financial planning. So they certainly are enforcing people and the salespeople in the industry to upskill themselves, to kind of really get a proper grasp of the concepts of financial planning. Then you can go to NQF 6, 7, 8, and then the highest accolade is CFP, within the financial planning realm, and you're a certified financial planner with an honors degree in financial planning. It's quite different to CFA, which is a completely different ballgame. That's more on the asset management side of things. And they're not very good salesmen, I must. I wouldn't rely on a CFA to sell our products.
They come out of the accounting industry. So
yeah. And they're great at financial analysts.
Yeah.
And an analyst analyzes things.
Yes. Yes. So what are the characteristics of a great financial advisor? If their job is to help them to professionally buy the right product for where you are in your life at that time, what your needs are, what your financial abilities are, what makes for a great financial advisor? Because I mean, that's part of the problem, aren't they? They're sort of they're a dime a dozen. There's like a financial advisor behind every bush, you know. But and that's
next to the policeman is trying to catch you speeding.
But the financial advisors that stand out. I mean, you're highly successful. Okay, I mean, you're a very successful financial advisor. What do you attribute your success to?
Yeah, sure. I mean, thanks for the compliment. I've worked hard at it. There are other guys that are way more successful. I mean, like the numbers, when I see the numbers, I'm just like, I don't know how they do it. You know, where do they find the time in the day? For me, a great financial advisor needs to be able to wear so many hats. You've got to be able to go out and find clients. So that requires courage, confidence, boldness, discipline, the ability to pick up the phone and speak to an absolute trainer, a stranger, to ask him for a cup of coffee to come and chat about his life insurances or his investments. And invariably, like, people are quite, I've got a broker, I hate you guys.
Maybe. Sitting the second-hand car salesman.
Yeah, like, here's another one. And another one was like, I can't believe my mate gave you my number. But, so those kind of characteristics are vital. I think the industry, the stat is we have a 98% fail rate of financial advisors within 18 months of joining the industry.
Sure.
It's high. I've personally hired people that have not made it. I've seen people when I worked from 2009 that have really liked what they see, and then they come in and realize...
They like the idea that they can do financially well out.
Yeah, I mean...
And have the sort of some flexibility within the lifestyle.
Correct.
Is that what is attracting them to it?
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without realizing the amount of work that goes into something in the background.
So what is it? What is the work that goes in? Because this is what's underestimated all the time. I was having a conversation with a young lady a few months back, and she said, no, I've got to work smarter, not harder. So I said, well, how's that working out for you? You're making lots of money, you progressing in life, building up some wealth, living the lifestyle you would like, and your eyes got bigger and bigger as I described it. And she said, no. I said, well, the working smarter, not harder, really kicks in when you can't work any harder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not before that. And she said, oh, no one ever explained it to me like that.
I think the debate around working smarter and not harder gets more into a position when you've earned the right to be able to work smarter.
Beautiful way of putting it, yeah.
When you start getting a little bit more efficient and effective in your produce.
So how long does it take you, do you think? I mean, that working hard for a financial advisor. How long is that journey?
I've seen guys, within the industry and guys that have worked with colleagues and stuff, we've all kind of followed a pretty similar time frame, but I'll speak more about myself. I started in 2009. I was a 29-year-old. I just got married. Abby and I got married in the October the year before. We'd had Bella, our first child, in February of 2009. And in July, I came to my wife and I said to her, I'm getting out of recruitment. I was in SAP recruitment. I'd owned my own business, having left London in 2005 and started in South Africa on the recruitment side of things, but I was extremely bored. I was like on my own. I'd have a few guys working for me in the recruitment side of things, but I had this gentleman knocking on my door trying to sell me life insurance. And by the fourth meeting, he got really, the patience had run dry. And I said to him, what do you think the chances of, would you think I'd be a good financial advisor? And he closed the file and He said, I think you'd be great. And that kind of started the whole path down. All right, cool. Well, you'll get me an interview with his directors. I was in recruitment, so I didn't just go to one. I got 2 other interviews at other places. And the frightening thing was these oaks were like lunging at me. I'm a confident guy, so I said, well, everyone just loves me. Maybe it's me, but it wasn't actually. Like they'll take on anybody.
Yeah.
I said it with respect.
Yeah.
So I started in 2009 as a financial advisor. The first kind of 2-3 months, I wafted around because I still had my recruitment company, so I was earning okay money off of that. You get into this industry, it is immense. There's so much to learn about. The 18-month, 2-year trajectory, it's such a steep curve. You learn so much. You learn about yourself.
Yeah.
You learn about life insurance. You learn about savings. You learn about investments. You learn about products. The products. One insurer, I think Sanlam's got something like 2,400 product lines.
Sure.
It's insane. And it was actually only when my last contract had finished, I realized I'm not going to have any money and I need to start working. And I refer back to Brett. He had a massive influence on my life. And he said, best you start selling some life insurance. And that was like when I was like, okay, cool, I really need to start doing this. And it was the phoning friends and family. It was phoning the people that I know on my cell phone from my recruitment business. And they were like, oh, you're not doing recruitment anymore, you're doing financial planning. It's like, well, I know you and you bought from me before. I hope you buy from me again. It was so hard. There were times. So in the June, July, when I'd made the decision to go into financial services, my wife was really concerned. She was really worried. And she said, I don't know. I said to her, don't worry, I've got this. Like, I've got this. I really want to do this. About 2 or 3 years later, I said to Brett, I was born for this industry. I should have come into it earlier. And he said, everything comes at the right time. But there were many times before that my wife had said, I think you need to go back to recruitment, find another job, because you take lapses. A guy starts an insurance policy, you get paid a commission up front. If that guy lapses in the first year, you handle that commission back. Not a lot of clients know this. I'd easily say 90% of people don't really know how this works. You spent that money. You've got bills to pay. You've got rent. You've got your car. You've got fuel. You've got food.
And you've got to manage the emotional roller coaster.
The emotional roller coaster is like on a ride second to none.
Yeah.
My wife and I were in Abu Dhabi about 4 or 5 years ago, and we went on that Ferrari train thing. Yes. That was like driving in a tuk-tuk for me. Because this emotional roller coaster is incredibly intense. It's probably the thing that breaks people. They just can't actually deal with this. I know guys in the industry for 20 years that just pull up because they can't deal with the emotional roller coaster of clients' expectations, taking a lapse because someone else has come in and beaten the price. It's a thing. It's a real part of this industry that certainly it sorts the wheat from the chaff. You need a thick skin. And you're talking about like characteristics. You need a thick skin.
Or you need to be a super salesman, a super professional salesman.
Correct.
And completely determined to reach your goals.
Correct. And the goals are...
And resilient. Can I say, people talk flippantly about resilience. Yes, everyone must be resilient, but this really requires resilience.
Massive resilience. Grit. There's a book that I've started reading about grit and how grit is the determining factor of success. It's not your background. It's not your trust fund. It's not the area that you live in or the school that you went to. It's actually grit. So, I think that the people, the advisors with grit and determination are the guys that stand the test of time. To become a great advisor, you've got to have the ability to learn, like the open mind to learn constantly. Like I'm learning all the time. One, I love it. But two, if you're not learning all the time, you're going to be left behind. I've learned incredible things about financial planning. I've also delved heavily into the psychological side of things in terms of different personality profiles. I'm a driver expressive. So if I sit in front of an accountant who is an analytical amiable, I'm going to bulldoze the guy. He's going to run into the nearest cupboard to hide away from me. He might say yes, but never sign a document. So it's the ability to be able to mirror and match the person that you're in front of, so that you gain rapport, to be able to get, so the guy can openly and honestly speak about his greatest fears, his goals and aspirations, the things that he definitely wants to make sure of, the problems that he's had in the past with other insurance brokers, other insurance companies, investments that have gone to pot, etc., etc. That, it's a funny thing. People end up sharing stuff with their advisors, myself included, that they would never share with their attorney. They would never share with their accountant. Sometimes they don't even share it with their spouses or their business partners.
Often.
Because
they definitely can't do it with your bank manager.
Definitely can't do it with the bank manager. Yeah, no, not that guy. And that's a deep relationship. That's not just an insurance policy with a bottom line price.
But you have to earn that right to have that level of relationship.
You do. So one of the characteristics in terms of the original question is the personability. It's having the vulnerability to have an open conversation with people and not just be that typical policy peddling broker who's there to flog you a policy, get the commission, and I'll see you in a year's time. Maybe not even a year's time, maybe not ever. That's the cleaning up that needs to happen in this industry. I think the cleaning up of the industry needs to also go down to like a path. It's a debate of how do you get a financial advisor into a position where he's not chasing that deal every single month. So here at StratPoint, I've opened up income streams across the board so that you're not having to chase that one deal to make ends meet. That's driving bad behavior. It's driving terrible behavior. From a sales perspective, you'll know this better than anybody else. Salesmen are driven by incentives. That also drives bad behavior. It can. I've seen it with my own eyes. I question, how could you sell that just to get production points or production credits to be able to go on an international trip? So another characteristic which is vital, and one of the things that I look for in people, not only advisors to join StratPoint and that have joined StratPoint, but clients, is integrity. And you said it the other day. Everybody's got integrity until their courage fails.
Yeah.
It hit me between the eyes, because that's when integrity is really
under pressure
tested. And you can go onto any financial services company's website and they'll talk about trust and honesty and integrity and truth and honesty. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Really? And it's a challenge. It really is a challenge. It's a challenge that I put out to other advisors, where you get the inform in the email saying someone else is downloading your policies, and then the guy comes back and, you can get it for cheaper, and the guy's not being that honest about his smoker status, or the advisor hasn't actually told him that he's taken to an age-rated premium pattern, or he's changed the structure from standalone to accelerated. That are all ways that I can, any advisor can make your policy look cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, if cheaper, there's often a damn good reason why
Correct.
It's cheaper. The
Correct.
benefit is reduced. So
and that's where integrity comes in.
Yeah,
That's
I would
where the
imagine
transparency
to
comes in.
get a financial advisor up and going to where he's or she's earning a fabulous sort of income, more consistent income, there must be a huge amount of nurture and support that is needed. And I don't mean nurture as in model coddling, not at all, and I doubt that would be your style.
Not going to get it from me, I'm afraid.
Yeah, exactly. But support in order to go that distance.
Yeah, this is not displayed advertising that we're not getting sponsored by anybody. The nurturing support molding part of it is a vital and integral stage of the beginning part. There's almost like two sides. The one side is taming the tiger, reining him in, which I think your typical A-type salesman, you got to like rein them in. Whoa. You don't just close the deal just for sake of closing a deal. There's good business and there's bad business, and there's bad business, we walk away. And then there's the person that's really personal and extremely likable, but so scared of going out and finding new people. It's a balancing act of the two. It's also helping new financial advisors and even existing financial advisors coming into a business like StratPoint, where we actually show them what financial freedom really is, so that you can build up independent wealth from your practice, so that when you get to a position where you don't actually need your business to cover your costs anymore because you've built up enough wealth for yourself and assets, investments, share portfolios, etc., which are not just for the rich. This is what everyone gets wrong. I've got a passionate plea that every South African should have a share portfolio. And it's not difficult. It's actually very readily available. But people don't know where, how, what to do. I spoke to a 23-year-old yesterday. Lovely girl, well educated, great saver. But she's saving into a money market account. So it's educating people to be able to go and say, right, let's build up those things. And it's the same with financial advisors. And what I've found in the industry is that this is a lucrative industry. It really is. There's no lying about it. One of the reasons I chose this industry is because the amount of money that I make is very attractive. Okay? The problem is, the more you earn, the more you spend. So then you're going to earn more, so you go and spend more. And you earn more, and no matter what you want, there's the old saying, it's just one more policy. No matter what you want.
We have clients parking their new car around the corner, so we can't see what they've done with the extra money. I had one client some years back, and he didn't want his customers to see what size Mercedes, so he swapped the badge at the back for the lower Mercedes.
Crazy.
Really?
Crazy. I mean, I've got some clients that won't drive their cars to work because their staff will go, "Oh, that's my bonus wasn't that big this year."
Money means different things to different people.
Absolutely. And I think that's an important point. Money means different things to different people. So, what does success really mean? We inherit ideas and beliefs on what success is or what money is, etc., etc. So the kind of coaching and mentoring that I take people through is to kind of shed yourself of those belief systems that haven't served you, and start defining the belief systems that do serve you, that are personal, they're yours. So I heard a fascinating one-liner, it's like religion shouldn't be inherited, it should be discovered. And I think that's the same thing for success and financial freedom. My financial freedom could be X, but Don's could be Y. I can't tell him his is wrong. It's sitting down and saying, what is yours? It's this.
But I think it's understanding that. Most people don't think about that. So it's work as hard as you can. And, hopefully we'll create an app, or at least we will invent something. Now we're going to discover an app, and then we're going to, we could do the lotto, and then we're going to all be rich and stuff. But so it's just understanding if there are beliefs and identities that we've grown up with that are no longer serving us. I mean, the research is that most of our beliefs and our values are set by the time we're 7. But certainly we're wired by I think 30 or 35, and that's the bad news. And there could be good news in there because there's some good stuff hardwired in too. But the good news is human beings, we have the ability to change those, to upgrade them. But we need a level of awareness
Correct.
to get in to do that. It's actually what makes us different from animals, isn't
For
it?
sure.
Animals, as far as we know, don't have that ability. As human beings, we have that ability. So we used to believe in, I often say, we used to believe in Father Christmas. We don't anymore. So what are the Father Christmases, tooth fairies that we still got going on that are no longer serving us? And money is just such an interesting one.
It is.
It really is.
It really is. I mean, money's been likened or described as energy. Money's been described as a tool.
Yeah.
And those are the positive things. Money has also been described as the root of all evil.
Yeah.
You know.
So I like the idea of money as it's choice. So money gives you the ability to choose. And I think life is for living, and I think life is for experiencing. So we want to experience more of life, not less of life. And money most certainly, whether we like money or don't, gives us the ability to experience more things. It gives us more choices. Yeah. So for that reason, it's worth paying attention. And it's worth dealing with some of the beliefs and values possibly that no longer serve you around that.
So money gives you choices. I think it's also the choices around money that you make.
Yeah.
And that's where the influences of belief systems, conditioning from childhood, environment that you're in, might have come from, etc., etc. There's some phenomenal marketing out there. The banks are the best in terms of saying they influence your decisions around money. They influence your choices around money. Because remember, they sell money. Their marketing is going to help them sell their product. Okay, so that a person might go and buy the car. They might go and buy the expensive international holiday offshore and stick it on the credit card. The awareness of what money costs you, the choices of where you spend your money, will define your outcomes. It will. I mean, I wouldn't say I cringe, but the example of Warren Buffett, where he drove the same Mercedes-Benz for 25, 30 years or something. I'm not Warren Buffett. I'm not conservative in the least. Okay. He's upgraded his car.
Oh, good.
Everybody he's upgraded his car. I don't think it's a Tesla. But he's still in the same home. His relationship to money, however, and his relationship to investing is not groundbreaking. It's not difficult. And part of StratPoint's not part of it. StratPoint's philosophy is simplicity. Warren Buffett's investing strategy is so simple it's frightening. And right now, the market plummeting ridiculously with all the things, tariffs and blah-de-blah fish paste. We don't have to get into that. We'll be here till Tuesday morning. Yeah. He had something like 395 billion rand in cash. Everything. He's so wealthy. No, he just owns stocks that pay out a dividend. When the market crashed, did he sell out of his stocks? No. He's utilized the cash that he's got out of his dividends to now go and buy all the shares. But the people who have sold out of fear and panic, he's now getting for half price. So comes up, thank you very much. Buys more of those shares, puts them into his portfolio, and they pay him more dividends. And he builds up his stockpile. That's simple. That is so simple. Anyone can go onto the JSE and pick some really good blue chip stocks. You can go into the New York Stock Exchange. And this is what we help people with, is to make the right picks, the right choices, the right strategy in terms of building up their wealth. Whether it starts from 500 Rand to 500 million Rand, the concept is the same. And the more simple it is, the better. If I can't explain what I'm talking to now to my gran, I'm probably talking cuck. or I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And the best time to start is now.
Today.
Yeah.
No, the best time to start is when you're 21.
Yeah, sure.
And everyone goes, but I'm 104 now.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know, this is what I'll say. I've got enough money to retire for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
As long as I die by next week Thursday.
Yeah.
It's choices around money. It's not upgrading the car. It's not that you can't. It's
well,
not,
you want to balance that for it. So you want that share portfolio, you know, the investment portfolio, you want the property investment, and you need the cash.
correct.
Because if you over on those and markets go down, property comes up and down, cash, you know, we know it's not, going to give you great returns. But if you've got enough cash, you're liquid.
Yeah.
It's the oxygen of business. It's the oxygen of wealth, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Without it, you know, if you can't actually pay your bills next month,
Yeah.
you know. So that people say money's not everything. Well, it is if you can't pay the rent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Money isn't everything.
Yeah.
It's a part of a whole
Exactly.
picture. It's the whole, it's a part of the.
It's part of life.
It's part of life.
It's life.
It really is. And yeah, it's there's something that you mentioned now about like
Having cash.
about the cash. I did a synopsis with a client of mine, or synopsis, I can't even remember. It's synopsis. There we go. What's this? A synapse or something else.
Yeah.
Where they were paying a lot of money into short-term debt. Okay, so there was a revolving credit, there was a credit card, there was an overdraft facility. And I'm like, no, but I'm fine. I'm managing those payments. It's fine. It's like, no, let's sit down and actually work out what those things are costing you. Okay, so there's like 350 grand, 100 grand, 100 grand. And they were paying 21.5% interest. Okay. All in all, they're paying about 15, 16 grand a month into those various facilities. I showed them how much they were paying in interest, and they nearly fell off their chairs. Okay. So instead of paying 21.5%, why don't you earn 10% in a time bank money market, which you can open up with an app? I did this morning to open up a thing that we're doing on the beachfront cleanup. 5 minutes, bank account up and running. And you can get a 10% return on that. It's a 31.5% swing from interest paid to interest earned.
Yeah.
You put that 16 grand into the same account, but in 3 years, you've got 500 grand of your own money growing by 10% every year. That starts creating financial freedom. We're not bound to a bank. You become your own bank. You become your own investor. So when the opportunities do come up, you're not having to ask a bank for money. You've actually got it yourself. Or you're able to borrow far less
Or at a better
from a
rate.
bank, or far better rate.
When you got money,
you can go and
negotiate.
You can go and buy the property for far less because you've got more cash. So the seller's now, there's a 50% cash, 50% bond. Comes up, let's go. So you can start negotiating sale price. There's all these sorts of things when you've actually got the money. And that's literally just a relationship with money, and where you change the choices that you make around money. And that also comes into having the right goals, defining what success really means to you. When you look at the revolving credit, the credit card, the overdraft facility, the cars on HP, the cars on residual, the house, let's say that again. That causes people sleepless nights. That causes major, major stress because they're wondering, yes, how am I going to get out of this? They earn 100, they're spending 115. That's going to get to a point where you can't.
And they become so overwhelmed, so then we do nothing. When we get overwhelmed, we do nothing. And I found that just by working with people, helping them to break it down, what can we do, starting. Even initially, it often feels like nothing. But we keep going. In the book, Greg Collins called it the turn of the flywheel. And slowly you get momentum, and before you know it, the business is back up and running, it's at a trot, the cash is starting to come in, the portfolio is starting to look better.
Absolutely.
Has that been your experience as well? If you can get people going.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's taken the first...
So in other words, like, how much money do you need to have to come to you to start with a solid financial plan that'll serve you well?
Sure, I don't define a client on how much money they have. I've got 23-year-olds as clients. I deal mainly in the 35 to kind of 50-year-old business owner space because I'm a business owner. I love business. I know the risks that they're running. I know that, I'll say this nicely, I know where my points of attack are going to be because of the mistakes that so many other brokers make in those portfolios.
Weaknesses are.
Correct, where the weaknesses are.
So we can put that positively, the weaknesses are.
Yeah.
And the areas that need to be properly covered.
Correct. So I will take on anyone who phones me or comes to me, Roland, I really need your financial advice. I really need some help. I just want to do some stuff. Fantastic. Absolutely, anybody. Because financial planning starts from round one.
Yeah.
Doesn't start when you've got X amount, you know. So it's the educating of people. It's helping them make informed decisions, no matter who they are. South Africa's problem, and I'll speak South Africa first and then I'll speak globally. Household debt, credit cards, people living from paycheck to paycheck, being forced to get a side hustle because they're not earning enough. The lack of understanding, the lack of education around money and finance and all that sort of stuff. It's an international problem. The stats in South Africa literally mirror exactly within 1% of each other to America. Okay, America, arguably the richest country in the world, and you'll get some guys that'll argue with me out there and say Switzerland or whatever.
Yeah.
In reality, America's a beast.
Yeah.
Highly educated, Harvard University, Cambridge, it's massive.
Yeah.
How are they dealing with it? How are they getting the same problem? Because we're all human. So South Africa's financial problems are not just ours, they're international. It's the same in Europe, same in the UK.
And based on a lack of knowledge.
Correct.
When we live in the information age.
Correct.
So that's an interesting. All right, so let's come back to the whole financial advisors and sort of financial advising as a career, all right? What would you be saying to people who maybe are considering financial advice as a career? Which ones would you say this is the industry for you, and which ones would you say, I think that perhaps you wouldn't come out at the top of the chef, as you put it?
I'd first ask them why.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you can do?
Yeah.
My opinion doesn't count on who I think will do well and who won't. There's been guys that have joined where I used to work, and I thought there's no way on God's green earth this oak's going to be a success. He's brash, arrogant, aggressive, rude, and he's made a success. And they have. There's like a group. There's a group of people that have made a success, even in spite of themselves, because of grit, because of determination, because of knocking down doors. As much as I said, the behavior of financial advisors earlier, where there's the pressure and all that sort of stuff, sometimes it forces you and pushes you to do something that you ordinarily wouldn't do. Those are very good things to happen. So, sure, my opinion doesn't count in terms of who I think would be great. Because I appeal to a certain type of persons. You appeal to another type of person. Like attracts like. I know for a fact there's some phenomenal financial advisors out there. If I could book their diaries for them 5 appointments a day, they would absolutely fly. But they're seeing 1 appointment a week, or maybe 1 a day. You know, that's a confidence thing. It's the inability or the ability that's lacking to go out and find new clients. Those guys are really good financial advisors. They're very personable, they're supportive, they're engaging, they know their stuff, they know their products, they know how to do a financial plan on the software that we use. I call them the soft closers. Clients just naturally buy from them.
But they're the best kept secret in town,
They're almost
they're
like,
not seeing anyone.
Correct. They're almost like the best kept secret in town.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Whereas a person like me, and I know I'm extremely confident. One of the very many things that my mother taught me is that I won't say it in the words that I normally use. I don't know how to say it. Everyone shits and pisses just the same as everyone else.
Yeah.
Just because he's a CEO doesn't mean he's sitting on this precipice that no one has the. And the CEOs that I have found, they've welcomed it. Like, oh, thanks. It's almost like they're lonely in this glass tower, but no one else can see it.
Very often are very lonely.
Correct. So it's that sort of stuff is where we're all the same, but I appeal to a certain type of person. Donovan would appeal to a type of person that might cuck themselves when they see me and run a country mile. So I'll go back to it. It's grit, it's determination, it's knowing your worth, it's knowing your value. There was a
and ensuring, may I say, that you have value, which means you've got to be a professional financial service who's well educated that you're talking about and knows the breadth of services and is able to advise what's best for that client. I mean, those are all the things you've spoken about.
Sure. Someone starting is not going to know. So the nurturing and the mentoring is to say, right, we'll come together, we'll go and join calls. But Shirley, I still require you to book those calls. I've got nothing to work with if you don't have a full diary. And I've got no clients to help you with if there's no clients. I can't teach you how to become a good financial advisor if you're not going out there and bringing financial advice questions from a client to answer.
No, I mean, I agree. If people don't step forward, you've got nothing to work with.
Right.
If people are standing back and waiting for you to make me a great financial advisor, you must make me a great wealthy business owner.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing the things that I need to do, not doing the hard yards, the stuff that is important to do to start getting me somewhere down that track. There's nothing you can do.
Absolutely.
You're wasting your time and emotional energy and theirs as well, actually, and everyone loses.
Yeah.
Everyone loses.
And then they blame you.
Yeah.
So you'll love me for saying this, but accountability, responsibility, and action. When you're accountable to something and you take responsibility for it and the action there that's required, your results are unbelievable. You'll achieve things, and I've achieved things that I never dreamed of. I sat in 2020, in the beginning of 2020, at the beginning of every year, at the end of the previous year, my wife, my family, and I we do it together, and then I'll do it on my own, and the kids do it on their own, and Abby does it. We set ourselves goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic with a time frame, but they're also personal. They're relevant to me. I have found myself going after targets and goals that I realized weren't actually mine. So they've got to be for yourself. And I set myself a target in 2020, and it was a big one. I wanted to be the risk product house champion of the country for my mentor. And then COVID hit. Like, oh, come on. Grit, determination, passion, resilience. I mean, I used to go like Teams and WhatsApp, what's other Teams and Zoom. Like, guys, I've been doing that for years with WhatsApp video calls.
Yeah.
Like this whole screen talking is not new to me. And in the August or September when we had our awards, we were having awards online on our laptops because we couldn't get together because of COVID. And I was announced as the Myriad Product House Champion. It was a complete and utter surprise, and I started bawling my eyes out. Alone in my office. And I had people WhatsApping and high-fiving me, all this stuff. I really missed the personal interaction of it. But I achieved something that I'd set out to do and done it ethically, done it with integrity, got my clients the things that they really needed.
Awesome.
Making plans to get nurses to
so
do the medicals.
So the goal didn't change, but the plan changed.
The goal didn't change.
We see that a lot.
Correct.
We set goals, then the turf changes, then it's like, oh, well, then we change the goal.
Correct.
No, if it's the right goal,
If it's the right goal.
and the fact that you had the emotion with it is sure indication it was the right goal.
Absolutely.
Because normally that goal has an emotional level too.
Sure.
But you had to cope with it. you had to change plans. But you could have changed the goal. You could have gone, and that's what we find a lot of people do.
Yeah,
And I think that's really some of the benefits of coaching. We don't allow that.
For sure.
Yeah, the lands changed.
for sure.
But is this goal still an important goal? Is it absolutely? Well, what are the changes in the plan that need to take place in order to still meet that goal?
Yeah. It's
So
being
awesome.
inflexible about the goal and flexible about the ways that you get there.
100%. So surely success in the industry. I'm thinking about people in the industry. It's about being really serious about goals and really serious and having the grit and determination to actually push through to meet this. It's probably true of all success, really.
Oh.
Roland, what's your relationship at StratPoint with your financial advisors? Is there any difference from how you employ and set up your relationship with your financial advisors?
Shirley, the thing about StratPoint and the thing about myself is I hold myself up to a really high standard. Sometimes it's a high standard. So I hold I'm you look for people that also do. Mediocrity is not for us. And I hold myself up to the standard and I'm able to help financial advisors reach these standards because I've been there, done that, got the t-shirts. My track record speaks for itself. And people ask me, how did you achieve this? How did you get to becoming number one? One, I'm competitive. Let's just be honest. The instant I walked into financial services in the company that I was at, right, who's number one? And how do I beat them? Okay? That's just me. I don't think everybody has to be, not everybody can be number one. The Olympics only has one gold medalist. Yeah. There's silver and there's bronze. And there's an amazing thing about, you see those bronze medalists, and often they're beaming with this huge smile. I've got a medal at the Olympics. Yeah. You get some guys that say, I've reached the Olympics. Like, that was his goal. That's incredible. Yeah. Because of the path that I've led and the learnings that I've gone through, I'm also qualified as an NLP master practitioner. NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. Because I wanted to improve myself, to become a better human being. Yes, I'm still human. Yes, I still make mistakes. Yes, I still piss off my wife. You're human. Taxi writes you off, you probably say words that you shouldn't really. But the reality of it is we're all on this journey to becoming better people. So I look for people that are wanting to step up in terms of their level, wanting to improve as a financial advisor, as a person. Shirley, as financial advisors, I think we're in this industry that is so relationship selling based. If you're not in total control or really good control and understanding of yourself, you're fighting a major battle. And then things of like the lack of fulfillment start coming. You could be number one. You could be the richest man of Babylon and have no fulfillment. You can be depressed as hell and not liked, but you've got tons of cash, huge success. There was a saying the other day, as a billionaire, what is your definition of success? It's like when my kids want to see me all the time. That's phenomenal. So it's the all-round thing of having people in this business that are like-minded, are at this standard. I mean, the ladies that work with me, they're at the standard. Like, they're incredible. Because if you don't hold the standard, well, now we've got a loose link here. That only makes one possible. It lets the team down. It lets the company down. It lets the client down. So it's this level that not a lot of people want to achieve. They're quite happy with mediocrity, or they become comfortable with it. So it's like getting into the uncomfortability of, like, where are your goals? What do you really want to achieve? What makes a difference to your life and your families? Like, some guys, drivers are their wives, their kids. Like, it's their everything. Fantastic. Some guys, it's their career. Fantastic. Sometimes it's their spirituality. Sometimes it's material possessions. Sometimes it's international holidays and travel.
But I don't think the one rules out the other.
Not at all. It's a balance.
I think that you can have all of those things.
Correct.
It's just not right now, maybe.
Correct.
You've got to build it up so that you can build up to have perhaps the whole balanced portfolio, So, but what I'm hearing is that you engage with people that are driven for success, that are driven to be better today than they were yesterday.
Yeah.
Driven,
good to great.
Have great courage to go through those temptations and push through those temptations where it might be easier to make a sale, but it's not the best for the client to hold that line of integrity. That's what I'm hearing. Am I hearing it correctly?
Yeah. And push through the tough times.
And I'd like to say also, you laugh a lot and often and very heartily. So I would like to sort of think that also it's that you have fun, that you have a fun way of looking at life.
Yeah, I mean, I can get extremely deep and serious. I think in closing, my daughters, my eldest daughters, Bella and Sophie, Frankie's talking and every now and then a few words together. So I'm sure she's got some pearls of wisdom for me. But Bella and Sophie once at a school, they go like, "What do your parents do?" It was like a career day kind of thing. Like, "What does your dad do?" And I didn't quite know, but I said, we know that he has clients that come through and they have coffee and they laugh a lot, and at the end they sign papers.
I love it.
And I think good business is done as a result of like a whole lot of little things that get put together.
Yeah.
And it's like an endearing description from my babies that just like it hits my heart.
Sums it up.
They're who I do it for. Yes, I get the fulfillment and the accolades and all that sort of stuff from a personal perspective that I love and thrive on, but there's a bigger picture at play. It's my wife, it's my kids, it's my neighborhood, it's the industry, it's colleagues, it's holding other advisors up to the standard and level of respectability that's required, which sometimes is not. But yeah, we sit, we have coffee, we laugh a lot, and then we sign papers at the end. And if you're not laughing, well, then I don't know.
Yeah.
Happy, healthy, wealthy.
Yeah, indeed. Anyway, thanks for your time today, Roland.
No, thank you for yours, Shirley. It's been cool. It's been really lucky.
Lovely.